Hi, well, as you just heard, I'm Victor. I'm a PhD student here at MIT, and this afternoon I'm really excited to talk to you about the connections between musical composing and being a scientist. So when people often meet me for the first time, they ask me, what do you do? Which is a natural enough question. And to be honest, I pretty much never know what to say in response. So part of the reason for that might be that, as you quickly learn in grad school, I actually really don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time. But another reason for that, and perhaps a more fundamental reason for that, is that I have many interests in life. And I find it kind of hard to boil down all those interests into a single word or a single phrase which could easily describe me, that I could give to other people. So let me actually expand in a bit more detail on what I do here. So I'm a composer and a pianist. I'm studying here with the music faculty, but I'm also a PhD student and a scientist doing research in AI and economics. And I want to just reflect a little bit on what those different roles mean to me. So let me start with composing. What am I doing when I compose? I think what I'm doing ultimately is that I'm taking all these thoughts and feelings and emotions that I've experienced and gathered up over the course of my life, and then I'm converting them in my mind into these structures of sounds. Firstly, just so I can express that to myself, but also so that I can produce these pieces of music which I can share with lovely people like you, in the hopes of perhaps inspiring people or delighting people or moving people. So let me now think about me as a scientist. What am I doing? I'm taking all these intellectual tools which have been developed over many centuries and taking big piles of data, that's very important these days, and ultimately I'm using them to build theories and models about how the world works, in the hopes of building a deeper understanding and ultimately of hopefully finding better solutions to the problems out there in the world. Now, if you compare the description of these two different activities, I think you'll find that they actually share something in common. Both of them are underpinned by this deep longing, this desire to find something beautiful and meaningful, something which will help build our connections to the world and the people that inhabit it. And moreover, both of these activities are deeply creative by their very nature. The parallels don't end there. Science isn't just the cold pursuit of hard facts and logic. It's also very much something where many great scientists in history have been driven by an aesthetic sensibility, the beauty of chasing the best ideas. And to this end, Bertrand Russell has an essay I love about the experience of studying mathematics, where he says, and I have the quote right here, I've come prepared. He says, "The discovery that all mathematics follows inevitably from a small collection of fundamental laws is one which immeasurably enhances the beauty of the whole. Like a palace emerging from the autumn mist as a traveler ascends an Italian hillside, the stately stories of the mathematical edifice appear in their due order and proportion, with a new perfection in every part." Now, if you reflect on what he's saying there, I think that sense of excitement and discovery surely drives any great artist just as much as any great scientist. And I could also conversely say that being a musician isn't just about unfettered aesthetic exploration. It also has an element of hard technical craft, whether that's understanding music theory or having a deep knowledge of how musical instruments are constructed and played. So with those thoughts in mind, I'd love to present two of my compositions for you this afternoon. So the first piece I'll present is for double bass. It's called Doppelgangers Caught in Wires. So to first just explain a little bit about this piece, what I was trying to evoke here was to take a single instrument and really explore all the different personalities and voices I could conjure out of it in a relatively short 2-minute composition. Another thing which recurs throughout this piece is a motif of doubles and doppelgangers. I think here I was actually thinking quite a lot about recent developments in AI, where increasingly we're constructing these machines which are almost like uncanny simulators of human behavior in a way which I think has artistic ramifications just as much as social and scientific ones. So I'm really delighted this afternoon to have Buck Soykan here, to play for us. Buck Soykan is also a PhD student here at MIT. He's in the material science department, and he's a wonderful musician, as you're about to hear. So please welcome Buck Soykan. So I have one other composition to present to you this afternoon, and this time I'll be the one playing. So it's actually, I'm going to be playing the piano, and it's a soundtrack I've written on the piano for an animated film called I Keep Dreaming in Shadowless Lines. So let me describe the title a bit, like what's a shadowless line? Well, to me, that's a line which only exists as an abstraction in your mind. And so in fact, this film is really about that creative process I've been talking about earlier today, that process which I think is common to scientists and musicians alike. It's about the experience of starting with just the seed of an idea, maybe the beginning of a melody or some sort of intellectual idea it might eventually turn into a paper. And what do we do from there? We take those ideas and we start to translate them into symbolic abstractions, which you write down on pieces of paper, like equations or like bits of musical score. And we hope that those squiggly symbols will eventually explode into life, that they'll come into sound and color and movement and vision. And that's exactly the kind of creative process which we try to retrace through this piece. I'm very delighted to have been working on this with Yoon-So Cho, who's a London-based artist at the moment. She's a recent graduate from Oxford University, where we worked on this together. And she was the one who animated the film, which you're about to see, and I composed the soundtrack. So hope you enjoy. Great, thank you very much. One last parting thought from me before I go. Despite MIT having Institute of Technology in the name, I think music is actually really essential to what we do here, and so it should be no surprise that we have such a brilliant music faculty here as well. I think the reason is that if I think about what being a musician really means to me, it's all about this creative longing, this curiosity, and this drive to build connections between us and the people and the world around us. And I think those are really shared values which all of us have here at MIT, whether that's in the arts, the sciences, or maybe even both. Thank you very much.